Congress, as we know, often procrastinates on all sorts of things, but tonight we're talking about something they have put off for about 24 years. In 2001, a bipartisan legislation was passed to build a memorial for John Adams, the second president of the United States, and his family. To this day, it still hasn't happened tonight. My guest tonight, Jackie Gingrich Cushman, is the head of a group trying to change that. She's up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you tonight.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay, so why does John Adams deserve a memorial?
Okay, that is a great question. So John Adams was our first vice president, our second president, but more importantly, he was really the voice of the revolution. So think about 250 years ago, a year before, we declared our independence, he was part of the Second Continental Congress. And he knew, because he was from Massachusetts, that we would eventually have to declare our independence. He's the one that nominated George Washington to be our commanding general. He's the one that nominated Thomas Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence, because he knew Jefferson would be better received writing it because he was a Virginian and he was a better writer. But when the Declaration showed up at the Second Continental Congress, and I love that picture, he was the one that argued the most forcefully and was consistent, and he's the one really that swayed the entire Congress to go ahead and declare our independence. Yes, I believe we would have declared our independence, but not at the time and not in the way we did without John Adams.
So is there any vision right now as to the type of memorial that we would see? I know the legislation says putting it on the mall somewhere, but they come in all shapes and forms. What would, in your estimation, be the best representation, the best way to pay homage and respect to the former president?
Well, that's a wonderful question, because you have George Washington, the president before him, who was a Virginian as well, and he has the huge Washington Memorial, as he deserves, monument.
Sure. And
you have Thomas Jefferson behind him, the third president, who has that beautiful on the water towards Virginia, the beautiful Thomas Jefferson Memorial. But really, for John Adams, he was a New Englander, and this memorial is not only for him, it's also for his wife Abigail, their son John Quincy Adams, and the family. The family is a really fascinating family that gave so much to our country. So really the vision is something that would be in keeping with John Adams and his New England heritage. So not nearly as big and as bold as what you see for either Washington or Jefferson. As
somebody who lived in Boston for a number of years, I mean, they love to pay honor to their history, and they like to remind people how proud they are of their New England roots. That's for darn sure. As somebody who has been, you've been close to politics for most of your life, how did you get involved with this? Why is this important to you?
Well, yeah, that's again. So I think I got involved because God has a sense of humor. I knew nothing about this effort. So it is a very long effort. I have only been involved relatively recently. Yeah. The first 15 to 20 years was they tried to accomplish this through a foundation that did not work. It then changed into a commission, and I was appointed under President Trump at the end of his first term to be a commissioner for the Adams Memorial Commission. But the work did not begin until a little over a year ago, because we didn't have a majority of the commissioners appointed. So we had to wait for that by legislation. And that happened about a year and a half ago. So now we have presidential appointees appointed. We have 3 congressmen that have been appointed as commissioners as well. So we are now off to work.
So for people who aren't familiar with the whole process of getting a memorial up and running, these are not funded by Congress. Congress doesn't step in and say, we're gonna devote $50 million to build this. This is on the part of the commission where you have to raise the funds to make this happen. So if people are watching this, how can they help the effort, and what needs to be done before we can see anything else happen?
We would love to have their help. So we have founded a separate 501c3 foundation to work with the commission. It's called the Adams Memorial Foundation. You can find us at theadamsmemorial.org. We have information there and op-eds, and you can donate there. You can sign up for newsletters. But to your point, we're raising private funds now. But you can also contact your legislators and let them know how important this is to you to have a memorial for John Adams, Abigail Adams, in a prominent spot in our nation's capital. Remember, he was the first president to live in the White House. Not only that, but really his greatest act, in addition to helping us declare our independence through his arguments, is he was the first president to peacefully transfer power to a president of a different political party when Thomas Jefferson won. He is vastly important. We owe a great debt to him as citizens, but quite frankly, this will not only be a memorial for the Adams, but really it's in service to the nation, because it's a great reminder that if you work hard and you focus and you're diligent, you can make a huge impact, and it gives us hope for our future as well.
I love that. By the way, tomorrow actually marks 199 years since his passing, interestingly enough. Jackie, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll put some links to this on our website, but thanks for joining us. Have a great holiday weekend.
Thank you, you too. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Jackie Cushman. We're back after this with more on Your Final Five.